So today the next topic that we will discussing is about mushroom cultivation. So mushrooms are very important uh, content of diet, and their consumption and production is increasing day by day. The mushrooms is a very nutritive source, and it is good for those people who have some diseases like obesity, blood pressure, and heart diseases. So because the fat content or the uh, cholesterol and oil content is almost nil in the mushrooms, the but the protein content and fiber content is very high, and they also have different kind of flavors and very good taste. So they are a very good source of healthy diet. So, for example, if you compare the mushroom with vegetables, the fat content is zero in both. Protein content is almost 2 or 2.5 times than the vegetables, and the energy content is same in both. Fiber content is also almost same, but the vitamin and mineral content in the mushrooms are much higher. For example, vitamin B12, B2 content is 10 times in the mushrooms as compared to the uh, vegetables. So, for example, per 100 grams of vegetables, the vitamin B2 content is 0.03 gram, and in mushroom it is zero point 0.3 grams. So it's around 10 times. And B3 content is also 10 times, which is uh, it is zero point 0.4 gram per 100 gram in vegetables, and it is 4 gram in 100 gram of mushroom. Folic acid is almost 1.5 times in mushroom. Vitamin C content is although less in mushroom, it's around half than the vegetables. Potassium and phosphorus content is also very high in the mushroom. Uh, Potassium content is 2 times than the vegetables, and phosphorus content is about 5 times than the vegetables. Magnesium, iron are also similar to the vegetables, and copper is uh, around 20 times than the uh, vegetables. So, which kind of mushrooms are grown in India on a commercial scale? There are three kind of mushroom: button mushroom, oyster mushroom, and pedistra mushroom. So the button mushroom is grown in the winter. It is the mycelium growth is suitable at the temperature of 24 to 25 degrees Celsius, and the fruiting bodies for the fruiting body formation, the temperature is less, and it is around 16 to 18 degrees Celsius. For oyster mushroom, which is also called dingri, the suitable temperature is 22 to 28 degrees Celsius, so it can tolerate broader temperature, and that is why it is uh, grown in those areas where the button mushroom cultivation is not possible. For example, in northern plains from October to March, and in Southeast Asian countries. And the third type of mushroom is pedistra mushroom, which can grow very well on pedestra, and it is grown from June to mid September, Its name is Wolveriella species. It is also called Chinese mushroom. It is dark in color and also delicious like other mushrooms, and it is usually grown on the raised beds and uh, prevented from sunlight or uh, other kind of lights. So what are the different steps for the cultivation of mushroom? So there are 5 steps in the production of mushroom. First is spawn preparation or obtaining spawn from laboratories or commercial sellers. Second is composting. Third is spawning or spewing, and fourth is casting, and fifth is harvesting. So what is composting? Compost is the material on which the fungus will grow. So it can be made from different materials. For example, paddy and wheat straw, cow horse dung, or poultry manure. And uh, compost can be of two types: synthetic and natural. So for example, if you have to make a synthetic uh, compost, then it will use urea and ammonium sulfate, calcium nitrate, and gypsum. So for example, you have to make compost for the 15 to 16 trays of size 100 into 50 into 15 centimeter. So for uh, 100 centimeter long, 50 centimeter wide, and 15 centimeter deep. So for this big tray, or 15 to 16 trays, you will how much quantity of compost you will need. So for that, what are the raw materials that we will discuss now? So first you need chopped wheat straw, that is 250 kg, and wheat or rice bran. Straw is the stem of wheat, the bran is the husk of the seeds, when the covering of seeds, that is bran. So around 20 kg of wheat bran is used, 250 kg of chopped straw is used, and around 3 kg of either ammonium nitrate, uh, calcium ammonium nitrate, or ammonium sulfate is mixed, and urea is 3 kg of urea should be added, and 20 kg of gypsum. So all the ingredients except gypsum are mixed with straw and kept in a pile of around 1 meter into 1 meter, and then after mixing them they are left. So they are left for composting for many days, uh, around 20 days. So but they have to be turned so that the process of composting can happen in homogeneously all over this. So the first turning is made at the 4th day, second is at the 8th day, 12th day, third, and fourth on the 16th day. So during the last two turnings, out of that 20 kg of gypsum, 10 kg of gypsum is added. So after 12th day, when you are turning it or you are mixing it, then you have to add gypsum, 10 kg of gypsum. And when you are doing the same on the 16th day, then also gypsum has to be 10 kg, the remaining 10 kg of gypsum has to be added. So during the last turning also, the Malathion can be added. Malathion, around 10 ml of malathion in 5 liter, so that can serve as a pesticide. So this is the way you have synthetic compost is formed or prepared. The second one is natural compost. For the same number of trays of same size, how much material will be required? Chopped wheat straw will be 300 to 350 kg, horse dung 1000 kg, poultry waste around 100 to 110 kg, or urea. If you are not using poultry waste, then you can use urea, and gypsum around 25 kg. So here uh, instead of urea and ammonium sulfate or calcium ammonium nitrate, uh, poultry waste and horse dung are used. So all ingredients except gypsum are mixed, and they are kept in a pile. After 3 days, the compost gets heated up due to fermentation and ammonia gas is released. So uh, to remove that gas, it has to be turned, that means upside down, it has to mixed. So the turning has to be like similar to the synthetic compost, 3 4 times after 3 4 days of interval, and during the last two turnings gypsum is added, and in the last turning 5 ml of malathion in 5 liter of 10 ml of malathion in 5 liter of water is added. So again, when after 20 days the compost will be ready, and when it is ready, it is filled in the trays and slightly compressed. There are other methods also of preparing compost, wherein people uh, sterilize the rice bran or wheat bran with the formalin or formaldehyde, and then uh, keep it in water for many days, and outside after bringing it outside, they keep it keep it moist for decaying. So after some days of decaying, it will be ready, and the when then the formalin is sprayed, and formalin is it is so for some days they have to wait so that formalin evaporates completely from the uh, wheat straw or the compost mixture. So next step is spawning, spawn maintenance, or preparation of spawn, maintenance of spawn, and or purchase of spawn. So some laboratories can uh, prepare the spawn. So usually farmers can purchase the spawn from those laboratories, and then it is good quality. Otherwise, some people who are doing mushroom cultivation can prepare their own spawn also. So a desirable mycelium culture is pure, free of contaminants and of sectoring and other abnormalities. Uh, so other contaminants can be there in these spawns, which could be other fungi, bacteria, virus, or protist like this, or insect eggs or larvae. So they can make the culture very they can contaminate the culture, and then your fungus cultivation will not be good. So another problem is sectoring. So sectoring is any type of mycelial growth that is different in appearance, growth rate, color, or any other characteristics uh, from the typical appearance of the given strain. So it's the same fungus, although same mycelium of the same species, but due to some reasons it is uh, the growth characteristics are different from the given strain which is used. So sectoring is often observed in a more rapidly growing area near the leading edge of growth, uh, exhibiting a different growth habit from the rest of the culture. So there is no in vitro test to determine a stock culture's validity. A series of cropping trials must be concluded on the mycelial stock culture to determine a culture line's value. The mushroom yield size, color, cap shape, and other desired quality or growth factors are selected and then compared for each line. So whether your mycelial culture is good or not, it can be known after actually growing it. So what is the way how this spawn is made, that we will discuss now, but let's take an example of hybrid wide smooth cap uh, variety of mushroom. So this is a very preferred variety in the fresh market, and another also very in the European markets. There are three varieties which are popular: hybrid white, hybrid off-white, and brown. Uh, so hybrid off-white is slightly scaly and highly preferred strain. Hybrid white is smooth uh, mushroom and it is very high yielding. Brown variety produces a chocolate brown mushroom that is fleshy and has a strong and pleasant flavor. So the process of making spawn: first spawn is made on spawn is what is seed. It can be called seed of mushroom. So if you have to culture a crop, you sow the seed, but here the spawn is sown. What is spawn? Spawn is the mycelial growth on some seeds. So usually wheat seeds are taken. So how spawn is made? So uh, the wheat or some in some other cases other grains, but mostly wheat grain is mixed with little calcium carbonate. Then it is cooked and sterilized and then cooled. Then small pieces of pure culture mycelium are placed in small batches on the grain. Once the small batch is fully colonized, it is used to inoculate several large batches of the grain. This multiplying of the inoculated grain continues until the commercial size containers, usually plastic bags, uh, are inoculated. So during the colonization of each batch, the containers are shaken every few days to distribute actively growing mycelia around the bag or bottle. During this process, the temperature should be maintained at 23 to 24 degrees Celsius. So first this grain wheat are cooked with calcium carbonate. Then uh, when they are taken out and they are cooled, then the mycelia is sprayed on them. Some mycelia which is grown in the culture tubes. So from there only small amount is uh, mixed with them, and so with time it will grow and it will spread on nearby grains. So grains are again mixed. So after mixing, it will spread to the whole grains. So these are further used for inoculating other batch of grains. So thereby uh, a large set of spawn is obtained that can be sold to the farmers, and they can use it for inoculating their compost. And so in the spawn making, temperature is important. So spawn can be obtained from Y.S. Parmar University in the Solon, and Nessel Mushroom Research and Training Center in Solon, or uh, IRI also provide spawn to some farmers. So the how much amount of spawn is used? It depends on the spawn growing period and the compost fill weight. So if you use more spawn, it will lead to quicker growth of fungus, quicker colonization of the compost, and efficient use of substrate nutrients. Improved colonization of substrate will help to ensure the mushroom mycelia will grow quicker than other fungal competitors. So enough amount of spawn should be used. Then next process is spawning, or growing of mixing of spawn with the compost. So during the spawn growing period, when it is mixed with the compost, heat is generated. So uh, to absorb that heat or to remove that heat, the temperature has to be reduced. So cooling is required. So the temperature should be around 24 to 25 degrees Celsius, and relative humidity at this time should be high, so that the fungus mycelia may not dry. So under upon availability of these suitable conditions, the mycelia, fungus mycelia will spread throughout this compost substrate, and it will spread from that grain to all the compost, and this mycelia from different direction will ultimately fuse together. And if you can remove it at this stage and see that a white root like network throughout the compost will be seen. So as the spawn grows, it generates seeds that has to be removed, as I told earlier. So depending on the cultivar, if the heat becomes more, it may also kill the mycelia. So the management of heat is a very important step, and it can reduce the yield to a great extent. The time that is needed for spawn to colonize the compost depends on the spawning rate and its distribution, the compost moisture, temperature, and other ambient conditions, and the quality of compost. Usually 12 to 15 days are required for spawning, means the mycelia to spread into the compost thoroughly. So how do we know that it has spread to all the compost? Uh, it will be known by the subsiding of increase in the heat. So heat generation will be less during when the colonization is complete. So addition of delayed release supplements enhance the protein and lipid content of compost of the mushroom, compost for the mushroom. So many these supplement consist of high protein oil material such as soybean meal, corn meal and feather meal. Uh, if an untreated supplement is added to the compost at this time, it will often become a candy bar. That means, so to increase the mm, protein content of this or lipid, although lipids are less, but if you want to increase, some manipulation can be done to make some lipid in the fungus. So to increase the increase the protein and lipid content in the fungus, some supplements are added, but they should be sterilized before adding, because if they will bring the other fungus or contaminants, it will become a candy bar, because the compost is now very nutritive and ready, and other fungus will grow in this compost at a very high speed, and even microbes and weeds, these things can grow. So the molds are one of the important things that will grow, that can compete with the mushroom and quickly colonize all this compost. So it has to be taken care of, that there is no growth of the mold. Then when when the mycelium is spreading to the compost, then it is vegetative growth. So for the mushroom which we eat is a fruiting body of the mushroom, of the fungus. So to bring the vegetative stage to reproductive stage, to change in this stage, uh, casing is needed. So casing, what is casing? So it is a process by which the fungus changes from vegetative to uh, reproductive stage. So how it is done? It is done by uh, some method like putting a layer on the trays, uh, which can be of garden soil or some other materials. So just putting that layer will change the fungus from vegetative to reproductive growth, and fruiting bodies, initially buttons will emerge, and those buttons will grow in this size to make uh, this mycelium cups. So what is the reason, mechanism behind casing? Nobody knows till now. So the method to change, to force mycelia from vegetative to reproductive stage is by putting a cover of around 2 3 centimeter layer on the spawned compost. So this spreading of garden soil or uh, horse dung initiate the rooting bodies. So casing also serves to conserve the moisture in the mushrooms, and uh, it act as a medium to also preserve the temperature in the compost. So mushroom growers use pasteurized clay loams, field soils and rotten cow dung or sphagnum peat moss, or aged sphagnum peat moss buffered with limestone. So as I told, there are many things which are used for casing. So it is sphagnum peat moss or sphagnum combined with the limestone or garden soil or uh, clay loam soil or rotten cow dung or reclaimed weathered and spent compost, that compost which was already used for growing fungus, or coir fibers. So these are so many things which can be used for casing. So whatever things you use for casing, they also should be sterilized to prevent the contamination of the compost. So sterilization can be with the formalin, uh, and the formalin should completely be removed from this uh, casing material before use. So after the casing, room temperature should be maintained at 25 degrees Celsius for 3 days and later at 18 degrees Celsius. And at this stage it should be very well ventilated, the room. And uh, after 3 days and after bringing the temperature to 18 degrees, after some days the mushroom initials or primordia or pin will uh, be seen. So they are called first flush. So when the temperature is brought to around 18 degrees, around 12 to uh, around 12 to 17 18 days will take for this appearance of pinhead. So they are initially very small, but uh, they keep on increasing in their size. So last step is harvesting. So spawn run compost at casing is used to inoculate the casing during the mixing or application of casing. This process is called casing inoculum. By adding the mycelium uniformly throughout the casing, the spawn growth into the casing is quicker and more even. So this the casing can be also different type, like you can put a layer or the compost is mixed with this casing material. uh, so there are 2-3 types of mixing this. The time from casing to harvest is uh, it depends on the fungus to fungus, but usually 10-15 days. So there are 3 to 4 flushes can be obtained, and at a interval of 1 week. So initial flush or initial yield is highest, uh, and second is also good, but third is yield is mostly less, and fourth is usually not economical, but sometime it can be. So only the 4 flushes can be obtained, and 3 to 4 kg of mushroom can be obtained from that one tray of 100 centimeter into 15 centimeter size. But if the yield is good, even 5 kg per tray can be obtained. So mushroom size depend on the number of pins that develop after a flush, and how this crop is managed. So there are these steps which are used to grow the fungus or mushroom cultivation. Okay.